Hello guys, my name is Hussein from AndroidIOStutorials.com. Today in this video I'm gonna talk about how to create and use SQLite database in Android. In other words, by the end of this tutorial you will be able to create an Android application in which you can save data to the database and manage it by using the CRUD operations, which means create, read, update and delete records from your database. Good. So the application that I'm going to demonstrate today is a listing of companies and their employees. As you can see, the first screen will show the listing of companies retrieved from our database. For now, we don't have any company in our database, so we have this message, no company in the database, create new one by clicking the Add button at the top right. You have a small button up here. When we click on this button, a new activity will appear, which displays the form for adding a new company. Each company is described by the company name, the address, the website, and the phone number. So let's fill this form with some information. For example, company 1, the address, for example, in New York City, website company1.com, and the phone number. So after filling this form and hitting the Add button, a new record will be added to our database, and we will go back to our previous activity, which is the listing of our companies, and the list of companies will be refreshed. So now we have our added company here. So let's add another company. For example, we're going to add the company 2. Let's take Washington, company2.com, and the phone number. So after hitting the Add, a second record will be added to our database, and as you can see, the list is refreshed and now it contains 2 items. More than that, when you click on a list item, this will bring another activity which contains a listing of all employees. For example, when I click on the company 1 item, this will bring a new activity that lists all employees that works for this company. For now, we don't have any employee, so let's add a new employee by hitting the Add button. Each employee is described by the first and the last name, the address, the email address, the phone number, the salary, and the company that this employee works for. So let's fill this form with some information. For example, John, the last name Mike, and the address, for example, New York City, the email address, john.mike@gmail.com, the phone number, the salary, and here we have a spinner to select the company that this employee works for. So we're going to select the company 1 and hitting the Add button. So after hitting this button, a new employee will be added to our database, and as you can see, we will go back to the listing of employees and our list view is refreshed. Furthermore, when you long press on a list item in the employees list or either in the companies list, this will display a dialog to confirm if you want to delete this employee or not. Here is the dialog. Are you sure you want to delete the employee John Mike? If you hit OK, the employee will be deleted from the database and from the list too. The same thing here in the companies list. When you long press on a company item, this will display the message, are you sure you want to delete the company one company? If you hit cancel, the dialog will be dismissed, and if you hit OK, of course, this will delete the company from the database and from the list. And more than that, all employees that work for this company will be deleted too. So for now, this is just a simple application. Our objective is to understand how to use CRUD operations on SQLite database in Android. Good. By now, I think we have some ideas about how the database will be structured. As you can see here in our picture, we have two tables. The first table is the company table. In this table, we will have all companies. Each company is described by the ID, which is the primary key and has the type integer. We have the company name, the address, the website, and the phone number. The second table is the employee table. This table will contain all employees. Each employee described by the ID, which is the primary key, the first and the last name, the address, the phone number, the salary, and the email. And we have a foreign key here, which is the ID company, which refers to the company that this employee works for. As you can see, an employee works for one company, and a company have one or many employees. So let's go back to our simple application in Eclipse Editor and see what is in there to begin with. First of all, we're going to see the structure of our source folder. As you can see here, I have separated all Java class files that have a relation with SQLite database in a package called com.android iOS tutorials.sqlite.dao. So I'm gonna open up this package, and inside of it we have three Java class files: company DAO, DB helper, and employee DAO. So I'm gonna open up the DB helper class. So we have here at the top section some constants for creating our tables. So we have constants for the table, the company's table name, and the columns of this table, like the ID, the company name, the address, etc. And we have also some constants for the employees table and its columns, the first and the last name, the address, the email, the phone number, the salary, and the company ID, which refers to the company ID that this employee works for. And we have down here some other constants for the database name and the database version. More than that, we have created two constants for two SQL queries for creating the employees table and the companies table. The first one is for creating the employees table. So the SQL statement is create table, and you specify the table name, which is the employees table. And we have the employee ID column, which has the integer type, and it is primary key, and it is auto increment. We have also the first name column, which has the text type, and it is not null. So this means that we are requiring that the first name to be in there. The same thing for the last name, which has the text type, the email, the phone number, and the salary has the real type, which is equal to the double type in Java. And the company ID has the integer type. The second query is for creating the company's table. As you can see here for the SQL statement, we have create table, companies, and we have company's ID, which is integer, has the integer type, and it is primary key, and of course it is an auto increment. And we have the other columns that has the type text, and they all are not null, so we are requiring that these columns to be in there. So under the constants section, we have our constructor, which we'll call the constructor of the superclass in order to create our database. As you can see, we have passed the database name and the database version in order to create our database. And after the creation of our database, the onCreate callback will be executed or will be called, and inside of this method or inside this callback we are executing the SQL queries for creating our tables by using the exec SQL method of the database instance. The second method that we should override is the onUpgrade method, which took three parameters: the database instance, the old version, and the new version. In this example, we drop all previous tables with their content and recreate them by calling the onCreate method. But remember, this is not the best approach to handle this, because if we did it this way, the user will lose all its data, which is a scary thing. Instead, I think you can create a backup tables, then move the content of the existing tables to them. Then drop tables and recreate them, and finally restore data from the backup tables. The last thing is we're going to see the other classes of our SQLite package, the employee DAO and the company DAO. So I'm gonna open up the company DAO class. This class contains all operations that we will need to execute on the company's table. As you can see here in the outline, we have all methods like create company, delete company, get all companies, and get company by ID, which will return a company from the database by specifying its ID. The second class is the employee DAO, which contains all operations that we will need to execute on the employees table. The first operation is create employee, which will insert or add a new record in the employees table by calling the insert method of the database instance, by passing the table employees as a parameter and the values that contain all our parameters. This method returns the ID of the last inserted record in the employees table. This ID will be used to retrieve the employee from the database. The second method is delete employee, which will delete an employee from the database by calling the delete method and passing the employees table and the condition that should be respected to delete the employee. The column employee ID should equal the employee ID passed in parameter. Another method is get all employees, which will return the list of all employees that we have in our database. Get employees of company, which will return all employees that work for a specific company. And the last method is a private method, cursor to employee, which will convert the cursor that contains all data retrieved from the database to an employee object in order to use it in our application. So that's it. If you have any questions or issues about how to use SQLite databases in Android with multiple tables, don't hesitate to add a comment below this video. And if you wanna download the source code, the link is in the description of this video too. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you guys in the next tutorial.